Good morning, everyone. Karen Cray Parker here. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys have ever done like lives and broadcasts and videos from hotel rooms, but the amount of jerry-rigging that you have to do sometimes. Right now, my most important video prop is cracker boxes. So everything in the video today is being held together by cracker boxes. Anyway, happy Tuesday. I'm glad that today's Tuesday. Yesterday I thought today it was Tuesday, and I actually broadcasted in another group that I'm working with a video that was supposed to be for Tuesday, but it was Monday. Anyway, hopefully you're having a little bit more aligned week with the time-space continuum. We are going to be doing something really, really grounded today. So I really want you, as we launch the conversation that we're going to have today, to really root yourself down into any feeling in your body that you might have around money, time, and energy, because the conversation we're going to have today is going to really focus on time and money and energy. And I want you to know on the front end, and we've been talking about this over the last couple weeks, but when you do this math on the front end and you start to give yourself metrics, and metrics are hard for a lot of us because we don't want to look at the metrics. They're either scary or we feel like they detract away from our place of service. So we're going to look at the metrics because the metrics actually help us grow. They help us get a really strong assessment of how we're doing, what we're doing, what we need to be doing. They help us cultivate a plan. And even though sometimes I think when we talk about metrics and we talk about numbers in particular in the context of metrics, and we talk about metrics and money or metrics and time, it is a conversation that it makes business sometimes not so fun for us. I want to bring you back to an important principle. And that important principle is this: what you pay attention to grows. What you pay attention to grows. It's a simple quantum physics principle. In fact, if you look at the research of John von Neumann, the quantum physicist, he says literally nothing can be turned from a potential into an actuality without focus, without observation, without metrics. So it's that process of measuring and looking at and being mindful of the numbers that increases growth. It increases growth in your business, that increases growth in your impact, and ultimately really increases your ability to serve. So you really need to have the money piece, the number piece in place, because without it, it's too hard to grow. It's too hard to have meaningful expansion in your business. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at how do you structure your practice. And we've talked about things like what do you need? What numbers do you need to make your bills? What's the bottom line that you have to be able to have a practice and to not have this be, say, a side hustle? We looked at what would you like to make? What would be sort of your ideal? What would you want to make? And then we looked at your stretch. What is your financial stretch? And how does that financial stretch impact, how do you feel about it? Where does that land in your body? How, what's the belief point for you as to whether you think you can make that stretch? So we've looked at those three figures. Last week we looked at and we contemplated and we talked about the importance of putting in your time off first, putting your vacations in, putting your schedule in so that you know whatever your schedule might be, where your time off is first, and building your business around your time off and your need for rest and renewal, rather than building your business from, I'll take time off if I can afford to later on after I'm done working really hard. So we talked about the essential, the need, if you will, to keep your business sustainable. So today we're going to do the math, and I'm going to walk you through some of the formulas, some of the math that I want you to play with as you explore your need, your financial need, your want, and your stretch, in conjunction with the amount of time off that you need to have for rest and renewal and creativity. So before we get started, I just want to remind you of one thing, and that is this. Your business is going to have seasons. You're going to have seasons where you're growing. You're going to have seasons where you're laying a foundation. You're going to have seasons where you just want to have a year where you're just maintaining. And all of it is okay. There may be life things going on, life events that you're having in your experience. There may be things going on, say, I don't know how old many of you are. For me, so I have aging parents. I have children who are starting to become parents themselves. So I'm sort of in between, being grandma and taking care of my own parents. And I still have an 11-year-old at home. So, there are a lot of seasons in Karen world. And I know you have a lot of seasons in your life, and you want to have your business be able to flow with the seasons of your life. And I want to also just remind you that you get to decide. To me, that's always been the real gift of human design, is that it's a tool that helps you find your inner authority to build your life in the way that's correct for you. And when it comes to business, we have a tendency to drop all of that and do these formulas or try to make our business be successful like this person or that person or this person. And I don't want you to look around anymore at who's doing what, except, for the sake of just seeing what feels right for you or not. You don't have to do business any way other than your way. And you get to decide and you get to choose. And that means you might have something that really turns you on and excites you one year. Maybe one year you're really excited about one-on-one coaching, and the next year you're like, bleh, I don't want to do it anymore. And you change the structure of your business, and that's okay. That's totally okay. You get to decide. It's your business. And when you understand this formula that I'm going to give you, it's going to help you look at your business on the front end and really explore what do you need to do to structure it so that your financial foundation stays strong and stable. Or it doesn't have to stay stable. Maybe you want to grow it. I'm not saying you have to stay stable either. I'm saying you could grow it too. So, all right. So just to review, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, what financial income do you need? What do you want? And what's your stretch? So if you didn't watch those videos, do go back and find those. But in the meantime, you can still play with at least the figure of what do you actually need on an annual basis? What do you need to get by? Okay. Then once you have that number, okay, remember last week I talked to you about focusing on how much time off you need. Where's your time off? How much time off are you going to take? Okay, so you want to take your year, your 365-day year, or your 52-week year, and you want to subtract off of that. And I'm a big fan of doing it weekly, making weekly numbers. If you want to get down to how much do I need to earn per day, you can do that too. I like doing weeks. So let's say hypothetically you've got 52 weeks in a year. That's for sure, you always have 52 weeks in a year. But let's say out of those 52 weeks in the year, you decide that you want to work 48. You want 4 weeks off for the year. Okay, so that's a nice number to work with, for example. Okay, so you want to figure out how much do you want to make for the year. Then you want to you want to figure out how much you want to work for the year. So take whatever number you want to work with, either 365 days or 52 weeks, and subtract your time off. So that's your first thing you're going to do. So write this down. Number 1, how much do you need, want, or what's your stretch financially? Number 2, how much time off are you going to take? And number 3, you're then going to subtract the time off from the year, from the amount of time in the year. So I like to work with weeks, so you might want to take off weeks. How many weeks do you want to take off? Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. Then you want to look at what time is left. So let's say you want to work 48 weeks out of 52. Then the next thing you're going to do, and nobody likes this, but this is important. This is huge. And if you skip this step, it's going to make your life challenging, because you're going to be hustling, really, really hustling for the weeks left that you're working. I want you to then calculate that 20% of the leftover time 20% of that leftover time. So if, let's say you're going to take 4 weeks off a year, you've got 48 weeks left. 20% of that 48 weeks, you're going to take that off, because that 20% that you're going to take off of that time working is going to be the time when you're going to do your marketing. So that's when you're going to be writing sales copy, working on your web page. It's when you're going to be doing your podcasting. It's when you're going to be doing your Facebook Lives. It's when you're going to be doing meetings at the local business networking groups, when we can go back and do those live again. This is when you're going to be crafting your offers. It's also going to be your time where you're going to really be activating your creativity. You have to have creative time built into your business. Because if you don't have that creative time built in, where you can sometimes just sit and think, because sometimes we just literally need to sit and think, because you're a business owner on top of being a coach. You need that creative time. Or maybe you're going to write a book, something I strongly, strongly recommend that you do. Or whatever you're going to do. Maybe you're going to be writing magazine articles because you're going to be sharing them on Medium online, or you're writing blog posts, or whatever you're doing creatively, you have to have that time built into, because it's essential for the function of your business. Okay, so let me just review this again. How many weeks a year are you going to be working? Take off your off time. Take that number that's left over and subtract 20% from that. So if you've got a 52-week year, you're going to take off 4. That leaves you with 48. 20% of that 48-week time left is going to be for marketing and visibility. And 80% of it is going to be actually delivering your coaching services. Okay? So if we do that math, that means that 38 weeks and 4 days, basically, or 38.4 weeks, is going to be how much you're actually going to be delivering services to clients. Okay, so I'm gonna walk through that one more time, because I know it's math, and I have to take notes. Okay, all right. Let's say you decide $80,000 is what you need to make. Okay, that's your need. That's your bare minimum. That's your need. You have $80,000. All right. You're gonna work 48 weeks for the year. All right. You're gonna take 20% of that time off for marketing, creativity, etc. Then, okay, and can I just take a time out here, because Jamie's making fun of me. I want you guys to know that I actually took calculus in college, and I made an A, and I took calculus for fun because I liked it. I took it in the engineering department, just saying. So there was a time in my life when I could do math. It has left for some reason, but I used to be able to do math. All right, starting over. $80,000, let's say you need $80,000 as your need. That's your minimum. You're going to work 48 weeks a year. You're going to take 20% of that 48 weeks off for marketing, creativity, learning, contemplation, planning, plotting, team meetings, whatever. Okay, that leaves you with 38.4 weeks for actually delivering services to clients. Okay, now, I don't know what I did with the rest of my math. So if you then take your $80,000, your annual minimum income, and remember, that's gross, that's pre-taxes, okay? If you take your $80,000 a year, you divide it by your 38.4 weeks, what you get, and this is approximate because I have it written down and it's on a piece of paper over there, what you get approximately is you need to make $2,050 a week coaching. Okay, $2,050 a week coaching. Now, that gives you a lot of insights now on how do you want to structure your practice. So if you have coaching clients, and let's say you're charging $200 a week, $200 a session for coaching, that means you need 10 coaching clients, right, for every week. Or if you're doing group coaching programs, you might need, and you decide they're going to pay you $500 a week for groups of 4, then you need 4 people in your group coaching program. When you start to know how much you need to make a week, and you're not always going to make that week. Sometimes you're going to be doing an event or something like a class, and you might make that much money in 3 weeks, and then you can go, oh, cool. I can either bank that, or I can start shifting my goals, or I can start looking at how can I do more of that because I can deliver more goods to more people in less time. But if you know your numbers, you can start planning accordingly. You can start building accordingly. All right? So going back to just the formula for what we've been working on for the past few weeks. How much do you want to work per year? Take your time off on the front end when you're doing your metrics. How much money do you need to make? And do this, by the way, do this for your need, do this for your want, and do this for your stretch. Because when you can start chunking it down and start going, oh, I only need to make $2,000 a week. Wow, that's doable. Now all of a sudden this big scary number that you're like, I don't even, now you can start constructing it. You can start creating it. So take the number of hours the number of weeks you're gonna work per year. Subtract 20% for that for marketing, development, learning, creativity. That's when you're gonna write your book. Then you're gonna take the number you want, the amount of money you want to earn for the year, divide it by the leftover weeks, and then you'll have an idea of how much you're going to be earning per week. All right? So that's the metric that I want you to work on. Post your numbers below. Post your numbers for your need, your want, and your stretch. Let's talk about how much do you need, or do you need to make a week? How much do you want to make a week? What's your stretch? Because I promise you, I know that. Just trust me on this, okay? Just trust me on this. This comes from my more than 30 years experience at this point in time in being a coach and having a business that has, at least in the very beginning, was a working by the hour business, that because I understood these metrics, because I could look at these metrics differently, because these metrics gave me the power to really analyze what I was doing, I started to be able to really manipulate these metrics in such a way that I could apply them then to things like, how could I make that money with less time? How can I make that money in with more people? How much extra do I need to add because I want to bring in an assistant, or I need to have somebody to help me with my podcast? Or it gives you so much power and control over your business to know how much you need to make. It takes the wishing and the hoping out of strategizing, and it allows you to get really grounded. And honestly, it's a relief when you start to understand what it takes and you start to be able to build it, because you'll start to see it's not really that hard. It's not really that hard. It's just a numbers game. Because the next thing you're going to understand is, let's say you need 4 clients a week. Let's say you do that. Let's say you're going to do 4 human design readings a week. Now you can start to go, okay, if I'm marketing and I need 4 clients a week, 4 new clients a week, that's 16 new clients a month-ish. And I know that marketing, if I'm selling 1 to 2% of the people I'm reaching with my visibility platform, let's say I teach a class. If I'm going to teach a class, I need to, a free introductory class, for example, I need to convert 16 people. If 16 people is 1% of the amount of people that are going to be in the class, then I know that I need to have a class with, oh God, now I have to really do hard math. I need to have, I don't know, how many people, now you have to do the math for me, Jamie. How many people, if 16 is 1%, right? Then I need to reach 1,600 people, right? So that's your math. That means you have to be visible enough to be reaching that many people. So, all right, some questions here. So Holly says, do you have any suggestions for someone who has a motivation of innocence as an MG? Anytime. So I don't use the motivations from traditional human design. I have a very different way of looking at the motivations in a chart and what drives somebody in the chart. Just a really big hint for you, Holly. In terms of using that as a driver for you figuring yourself out, I might shift the question. And the question that I might shift you to is, where's your passion? What's your mission? What's your purpose in the world? And I want to encourage you to go back and listen to last Friday's live when we talked about what's in your sun. as this Friday, we're going to be looking at the moon, and we're going to be looking at the rest of the incarnation cross. You have a purpose in you. You have something in you that sets you on fire. And I think that when we talk about motivation and drive, we make it really complicated. And there's a lot of really abstract, complicated rabbit hole conversations in human design. Some of the things that drive you are not even going to be in your chart. They're part of the sole purpose of why you came here and why you're here to do what you came here to do. Human design is the mechanics. You're a soul fitting into a mechanical model, and your soul has a burning purpose for being here. It's a burning power that's going to drive you. And sometimes you can't figure that out with your human design. There are hints in your human design. And when we look at soul curriculum and we do soul analysis in human design, which is one of the things I teach my human design students, we look at how do you really look at the definition of the soul purpose and how does that flow through the human purpose, the human story. When you understand that, then you tap into that soul purpose and you're on fire. And I'll give you all a hint, because I think you all on some level know this. I think every single one of you who is here, who loves human design, is here because your purpose in the world is to help evolve the world. We're on the cusp of a massive creative revolution, a revolution in consciousness, a revolution in expansion that's moving us closer towards fulfilling the full potential of humanity and building a world of sustainable, abundant, equitable, just peace. And you know, all of you know, on some level, that's why you're here. You're here to pave the road, to show the way, to shine the light, to help the world move into a deeper alignment with self-expression, with authentic self-expression, to clear karma, to clear past patterns and habits that keep us limited, that are keeping us from fulfilling our full potential. And you are here to show people how to do that. Because when people live aligned with their authentic self, then all the hidden motivations drop away. All the need to prove your value drops away. All the drivers that cause you to compromise and settle for less than what you want drop away, and you make a totally different set of decisions. And the decisions you make not only reflect your own value, but are inherently reflecting the value of others back to the world. And we start building more abundantly and more sustainably because we're not out of integrity with ourselves and each other. So I would say find your role as a light shower and a light being. And find your role as somebody who is here to unfold the path. And if that vision, if that purpose is big enough, your motivation in your human design chart isn't going to stop you. And when in a couple of weeks, I'm going to do a little program for you guys about motivation and drive. And we're going to talk about what keeps you resilient. And I think if you come back, Holly, and really pay attention to that presentation, you're going to learn a lot about why perhaps you might be dropping in your motivation, why perhaps you're not continuing to follow through on those things that you think you want to follow through on, or that you think are inspiring, or your big ideas. There may be other reasons why you're not, and it might not have anything to do with your human design. So, okay, other questions. So Shadi, so Shadi and Holly, you guys have the same questions. Good. All right, good. All right, that's it. You have your math assignment now. So again, post your numbers below. I'd love to see your numbers. I'd love to explore with you some different ways that you can construct your practice so that you can meet those number goals, so that you can really step into your purpose, your power, your mission, and take care of yourself, because you've got to be able to take care of yourself. You have to be sustainable first. You have to be resilient first, if that's what we're sharing with our clients. And there is a way for you to do it so that you don't compromise who you are. There's a way for you to do it so that you're not giving up anything, that you are fully aligned with who you are, and you're doing what you came here to do, what you're honoring that calling of your soul. So Ella, Ella asks, how can I, as a generator, get clients if I'm waiting to respond? Be ready, first of all, and this is true for all of you. Be ready. And remember, responding doesn't mean your clients are calling you. They're not going to just call you out of the blue because they sense that you're standing in a building somewhere. You have to give them a pathway. And when it comes to marketing, we'll talk about this when we talk more about marketing on Wednesdays. Now, when it comes to marketing, strategy works both ways. You as a generator are also going to be giving generators something to respond to. So in your marketing, ask people yes or no questions. Are you ready to transform your life? Are you sick of struggling with money? Do you want to experience deep, heartfelt communication with your partner? Do you want to find a concrete, actionable path to really living true to your authentic self? Do you want to unlock your creative power? These are generator questions. And if you look at really good marketing, all really good marketing starts with a yes or no question, because 70% of the people on the planet are generators. So give them something to respond to. And that means also get ready. And that's true for all types. You got to be ready. You have to be ready so that when the timing is right, when that invitation comes, when that thing to respond to shows up, when that inner alignment happens, you can pull the trigger and be in action. You don't want to get something to respond to and then have to go build your website. And you don't need to wait for anything to build your website. There is a foundation laying part of business that you don't have to respond to. Okay? There is a foundation laying part of business that is just about doing those things that you can do on your own to be ready, so that when the time does come for you to respond to the things you want to have, or be invited into the things you want to do, or be aligned with the things you dream of, that you are prepared. All right, good, cool. All right, Tina says, for the balance of your 2021 goal, $909 weekly. That's awesome. That's so doable. Doesn't that feel really doable to you? Now you can go, okay, that's 3 clients, right? Or maybe that's, 5 people in my group coaching program. I mean, that's such a doable number. Good job, Tina. All right. Antonio. All right. So sorry, I can't see this. Antonina. All right. So Antonina, the one thing I'm going to say to you is, as a 6-line profile, how old are you? That's the first thing I'm going to say. How old are you? And then the second thing I'm going to lovingly and gently say is, and this is just something to contemplate, and the answer might not be in here, but just play with me for just a minute. I would like to invite you to go back to thinking about, what did you dream about doing when you were like 11 or 12? And when people tell me I can't really find that thing that I get that keeps me going, that I can land on, that I stay passionate and excited about, find a picture of yourself at 11 or 12 and really dial into, what did you want to do at that age? Because that's a really interesting age. It's an age where you're exploring, your grown-up archetype, but you're still kind of rooted a little bit in the age of fantasy. And that exploration really gives you some interesting insights into at least the motives and the drives around, what are you doing? Why do you want to do what you're doing? And remember, as I said, you have seasons. You might think of something that you want to do. You might get it, set it in the motion. And then when you try it, especially for my manifesting generators or my 3rd-line profiles, when you start it, it might be like, I love this, I love this, I love this. And then a few minutes later, you might like, I don't want to do this anymore. You can always change your trajectory. The key is, and this is huge, and we're not going to talk about this today because I really want to keep our focus on the math, but the key is this. You've got to have a clear sense of what your purpose is. How you implement that purpose can change. You can have 5 billion different permutations of how you implement that purpose, but the purpose has to stay consistent, and your branding has to reflect that purpose, so that whatever you end up doing, people don't get confused about what you're doing when they know who you are. So you have to also be really visible, first and foremost, to yourself, before you can then go out and be visible in the world. But we'll unpack some of that. That's what we're talking about on Fridays and Thursdays a little bit. So be sure you come back to our lives on Thursdays and Fridays. So Nikki says, any suggestions for someone starting with level 3? I feel like I don't know enough to start reading professionally because there's still so much I don't know. And there is a lot you do know, Nikki. So you absolutely can do a kick-butt reading, giving somebody type, profile, and centers. And start there. And I want to, even if you just are starting to feel, just so that you can get confident, do readings. Do readings. No matter what, do readings. Start there. Even if you're doing them for your friends or for free. The more readings you get, the more confident you're going to feel, and the easier it's going to get to be adding all the other pieces in there. Okay. Okay. Vet says, when you speak of intergenerational traits, children to grandparents link, what if you were adopted? It is a little bit of a different topic, and it gets a little tricky when you're adopted, because you might not have access to your grandparents' information, and there, it's only one aspect of conditioning. And when I talk about conditioning, I actually talk about the 5 areas of conditioning. The first one being openness, the second one being your patterning from the people who raised you, your family, the family that you grew up with, and the siblings you grew up with. And the third one is going to be your intergenerational dynamics, and that's sort of your epigenetics and certain aspects of your human design chart. The fourth one is actually going to be your genetics itself, and then the fifth one is what's encoded in the design crystal. So, all right. All right, so I am still traveling. I'm going home tomorrow. I'm going to be home for a week and a half, which means for the next week and a half, I will have a very consistent schedule. Actually, for the next 2.5 weeks, I will have a very consistent schedule. And I promise you guys that starting on Thursday morning, I will post a schedule, a consistent schedule. I have the gate 5, so I like consistency too. I will post a consistent schedule so you don't miss on any of the lives. All right. So just to review, because I want to end with this, because this is important. I want you to calculate how many hours per week minus your off time do you need to work. Take 20% off of those for marketing. And then you're going to be left over with how much time are you going to be actually delivering services to clients. You're going to take that amount of time and you're going to divide your annual income by that leftover amount of time. That's going to give you how much you need to make per week, gross, not net, gross. So that's going to help you start calculating how many clients do you need to see, how many sessions do you need to do, how many coaching contracts do you need to have. It's up to you. So, all right, that's it. Do your math, post your math below. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm on an airplane flying across. Tomorrow's session will be later in the day because I'm flying. And then in the evening, I have my daughter's school play. So I'm super excited. Our first school play in almost 2 years. So take good care of yourselves. Have a great day. Bye.